Hi everyone. Today I'm happy to join you. Honored by that. And today I'm going to be talking to you about API security, tokens, flows, and the big bad wolf. Let's see what's going on. So actually, who chose this title anyway? So it's me, and I am Ingy, Youssef. I'm an application security consultant. And nationwide, that's why nationwide is by my side here, as you can see. I live in the area between developers, developer line, developer community, everything technology, and IRM, which is everything security. And I stay there in the middle, and I go back and forth. I advocate for developers, but I also advocate for security. I lead a number of initiatives in nationwide that aims basically and showing that security is beautiful. Security can be fast, can be enabling. It's a business enabler, and it's not something that will stop you or slow you down. I'm cheering on best practices for application development across different technologies in nationwide, and also I have some initiatives from open source, again, related to vulnerability management, compliance, and things like that. And API security is at the heart. So, I'm a Akai. I got my PhD from OSU. I'm a proud Akai graduate. And yes, OHIO, right? Yep. So let's get in. So really, whenever you talk, there's lots of talk about digital transformations, how people are changing things are being in the way that they're done, and how companies want just to reach out and get more business and expand their customer bases and all this stuff. And at the center and the heart of this is how can you integrate your services with outsiders that can actually take these services, expose them through their own applications and services, and just you basically expand your business without even knowing about it. So, of course, this is one of the things that, with digital transformations comes APIs, and this again is across tons of stuff, across like cloud partners, different partners of the company, different technologies and platforms like mobile, IoT. You can think of all stuff that is possible integrations that are facilitated and is using the standard for integrations as APIs. Okay, so it seems really that this API thing is the magic 3 letters, and yeah, it's magical, right? So it's magical, so probably magical means that it morphs, and that's the problem, or the challenge, or the beauty, call it whatever, but it's there, it morphs. It starts with API, looks easy, right? What can go wrong with 3 letters? Something. Well, it turns out that the 3 letters morphs into, actually, 3 words. Just do it, and it's a journey, and you get better at it, and you start trying to material practices in it, and tons of stuffs and dimensions from design and how you're, well, if you want to do it, that's how monolithic apps, microservices doing driven design. Let's play it safe, let's play it good. This is how we can really do that. And then you go on from there with all the stuff, and then you go on to the beauty of, okay, how can we implement this, the different technologies, but then you hit in your head right away the security model, and it takes you in a completely different path. I believe it's an awesome path, but the problem is just to know that you are in a path and learning journey, and that's the whole thing about it. And even the cycle of this it goes beyond developers completely, and architects and designers and everything, or security, and goes more also to application owners. How are we going to market this? Lots of stuff. So it's really a just do it journey. Yes, we want to do it, but it's a journey. But, well, the reality is, ultimately, you reach this. Just do it yesterday. So it's like, the businesses cannot wait for this. The premise is just so promising. And we want to get out there. We want to be in the market. We want to get those customers in. And so, that brings us to the focus of the talk today, which is REST APIs. REST APIs is this Well, again, just to make sure that we understand that we're focusing on REST APIs, which is APIs that are using the 6 architectural principles of REST, but there is also SOAP, so that's beyond the scope for this discussion. But basically for REST APIs, which is kind of the standard now, it is this beautiful premise that you have this REST client that really doesn't stateless, doesn't maintain state. Things are easy. Everything is done through the HTML verbs, the create, the retrieve, the update, the delete. Just that. Can't be simpler than that. Just these verbs to get all what you want to do on any resource that you have that is also exposed through the APIs. It's super simple, right? It seems really super simple. Well, the question comes here is what were we thinking when the REST APIs concept was introduced, and it's all really about trying to expose your data and services, right, so that it can be consumed by, and notice here, other developers in order for you to provide integrations with other applications and expand your use cases. So you are the owner, you have a minor goal, which is the data, which is the services you're offering, and then now it's time to expose this and offer it through others. So developers come and start using your APIs to expose your data and services. See, I'm repeating the word expose, right? That's really the objective, but that's the issue as well. So APIs are designed for that. They're designed to expose data and services. That's what they were thinking, right? What should I be thinking as the standing there protecting all stuff kind of thing? Well, with this thing, I have lots of questions. You're saying you want to expose my data and the services. Okay. Who is this? Who is this that's going to be consuming this? Who am I giving this data to? Okay. What is this thing allowed to see? Is this thing allowed to see, my PCI data, or like what? What? It's like lots of questions for the simple scenario. What data is being accessed? What operations are allowed on the data? It makes a difference. If it's just retrieval, it's different than update or delete. So there is a big difference here. But it's all just, again, it's concerns that any security professional would have, for sure. And then comes in the real question to, between one and self. Is this a valid, non-maliciously formed request? And even the cherry on top. Can my stuff see this? I have lots of appliances and stuff out there. Can I see these issues? And then the moment that you discover that these things are not as, you get answers that are almost something like, it depends for everything. So who's accessing it depends? Okay, what data is it depends? So it quickly becomes like, okay, you know what? Close all the curtains, do this. It's an emergency situation. And it's not. But you're scared. So you actually turn into this. And you start fretting more, like, okay, when I'm replying back, what is my response directed? Is it directed to where it should be, or what? To the requester or someone else? We both love TLS, so hopefully everything is on TLS. Well, we hope the whole world is on TLS, but again, we need to keep reminding ourselves. So really, the expectations here are so much focus on the technology, so much focus on how we can do this and let's do it. Whereas the problem is that the other stuff, like security things, comes in as an afterthought, which makes, again, from a security perspective, you start like, oh, it's scary, it's a scary situation. It shouldn't, but it just feels like that. So spot the wolf. So we're going to do this game here. Throughout these presentation slides, I'm going to have wolf appearances throughout. And really what I want to show by that is a different kind of the wolf. So you will see that all the wolves that I'm going to have certain characteristics. And they are not your traditional attacker attack scenario that you think of. It's a different wolf, but it's just really accurate. It can really bring things down. So the first of these wolves is this cute doggy, and it's like, okay, he's not big or bad, not a wolf either, but well, the idea is that it's just going to happen, regardless of if you start trying to stop it. It's happening, it's there. Okay, so absolutely, he agrees. So, once we identify and go beyond this mindset of, no, that's not acceptable, which by the way, is one of the things that really, from a security perspective, needs to change. Because developers really want to do the right thing, that's always. But the point is, they also want you as a security professional to come in and understand what they're doing, and then challenge yourself to do stuff in different ways. But the problem is, you will find lots of times that security people are like more still behind these technologies. They're not there yet. But anyway, so the idea here is that let's set the ground, for what we want to do with these things in mind. So, the first thing, of course, authentication, authorization, protect thy endpoint. You have an API endpoint, do authentication, do authorization. And I'll tell you, this simple thing is just a whole big world. So, don't mess without TLS, of course. Live your OWASP promise. You'll be surprised. Lots of times you feel like, okay, you know what, input sanitization, cores, all the fun stuff. That's for my login screens and things, but the APIs there. Well, yeah, it's just the same. These are just requests going out there. It can be completely malformed. So, we're going to see more on that, but forget about security through hiding. You cannot do that anymore. This does not exist. Okay? So, there's this awesome stuff. SPAs. How many have heard about single page apps? Yeah, so basically SPA, or there's frameworks, like specifically Angular or others. But then these things mean basically anything that you believe is hidden from them, anyone can see. So if you believe your client that you've developed using any of these is hiding any secrets, it's not. Now, even more, assume that you developed a mobile app that is consuming APIs, and you're just sending credentials, and assuming that you've just baked in the best credentials in your mobile app, and it's just rocking it. And the problem here is that, well, these guys can be risk engineers, can be, you can easily get these things out if you're after to get it. So, and here's one thing, also realization that I hope really we get out. Forget about internal and external systems. Forget about that. When you hear a lot this concept of, that's an internal API, that's an external API. Look at the use case. The use case is basically saying exposing, and there's data just jumping around and going back and forth on the wire. So forget about those firewalls that you think that's going to do something. This is fast. This time is fast already. We're moving to cloud and many other stuff. This and the whole digital transformation thing is about moving to these places. So eventually, even if you build under certain security assumptions, these are going to change. So just let go. Okay, so know and manage thy APIs. You need to know what you have. You need to have a way of managing this exploding ecosystem that's going to come in. So this is really important to have visibility into that. Okay, more important than ever is make sure when you're making security controls that you're not over-securing in a way that drives developers away or drives users of your application away. If the user, after every breath, they need to re-authenticate, that's crazy. That's unacceptable. So the idea here, the user experience is winning. And the good thing is, as skilled security professionals, we can also manage that. So it's just about about trying to find what are the right controls to put and when and where. So when you're thinking about the defense in depth, repeating controls in the same layer doesn't help you, doesn't give you something. Repeating across different layers give you something. So just put this in mind, and we're going to also take a look at more about that. But something that is a great passion of mine, authentication and authorization. So really what we're hoping is that always leads to user identity. I should be able to identify who's accessing my resources. I should be able to control who's accessing my resources. These are two separate things. So basically a resource. So here we're gonna introduce some terminology, and I'm gonna play with these throughout the 3/4 of this presentation. For APIs, usually, as we said, there is some data or services, some protected resource that this API is exclusive. Okay? Now, this protected resource can be data, like, for example, grades, a certain person or a group of people or something like this. And there is a resource owner. So I am here, I am Mary, and my grades are here. This is my protected resource. I'm the resource owner of my grades that are there. Now, Mary is using a client application. It's running, client application is running on my side through my browser, and whatever, well, I mean, whatever the setup is, maybe a different setup. But basically, I'm the resource owner of these resources, and there's this client application that sits in there that I use in order to access this. Now, as a resource owner, I'm identified by certain identifiers. Believe it or not, most of the cases you will find that the types of identifiers are sometimes it's all three, sometimes it's one of those, sometimes it's two, but really it's a person can have a social identity. Like, for example, I have my Gmail account, I have my Yahoo, I have my Facebook. These are my social existence that is known with certain IDs. And also, I do have places where I have a complete identity. So I am in this bank, I register with a certain ID, certain username. It's not a socially known, it's not one of the common places for social stuff and activity. It's just my interactions, and I create this account with a certain identity secured with a credential. That's called concrete identity. And then there's this notion of a thin identity. You know what that is? It's something like your phone number. And you're like, what are you? Are you kidding me? So someone can authenticate or get authorized to access resources by phone number? That's pure nonsense. Well, it depends. Just like the answers are always, right? So, the idea here is, what are you accessing? If you're accessing PCI, I'm sorry, you cannot do this with thin identity. That's not allowed. Not even social. I'd go with only. If you are maybe some sensitive data, I can tolerate some other stuff. If you are non-sensitive data at all, I can possibly consider other scenarios. If you're public data, I don't care even who you are. So really, that brings us back to this mindset. The data dictates your controls. Do not assume that you're protecting just always the, an asset that is gold. Look at your asset, identify what you need. Do not over-secure something that doesn't need this. So the idea here is, the thin identity can have very, very, very valuable business cases. But you will need to work with your developers, with the business, in order to identify, can we trim stuff? Can we just make sure it's public data? So this is where it comes that you as a security professional work with your developers. And by the way, in APIs, you cannot just weather it without that. these technologists and developers that knows the bits and the nuts and bolts of this thing in code. And they have no, like, little idea on why are you so scared. They are lots of times, that's exactly where the secure application coding class and all the fun stuff comes in. But really, their objective is to build something awesome. And the idea here is, they don't understand you. Why don't you want their awesome? But at the same time, you just need to join in and help them see the risks and work with them to mitigate them. There's always a way out. So, what is the umbrella goal? What are we trying to do? The umbrella goal is basically, for APIs, in the API model, for securing APIs, authorization, authentication, generally, the umbrella goal is give the resource owner, are we dying with something falling? Or? Okay. So, give the resource owner this, access to their resources, this, through the client application, this in a secure way. But why are we doing this? You're separating the client application from the user. He's using his application to access his resources. What's wrong with you? No. Client applications from all the different options that we have can be considered an entity totally separate from a resource owner. And if you start looking at the WASP flows and see how this is separated, you will find even the browser is actually separated as a different separate entity. It's called the agent. So the idea here is that, yes, think the old model, right? When there was this monolithic app where there's a backend server and there's a trusted front end and all the fun stuff, there's no more. As we said, the scripts are running in the client side. The scripts is out of your control. So we cannot assume any trust on the client, actually. There are some, usually when we're trying to model our goals and we try to strengthen the assumptions on what we are afraid of, but we can sometimes loosen it in other cases and say, well, this is a trusted client because it's built by our content or something. But generally speaking, we assume the client application to be separate from the user. So, but we can still, like when we're modeling it with threat modeling or something, we can still consider trust boundaries in a different way. But aside from that, let's talk about the first primitive, authorization. Ingy, but why are we talking about authorization? Isn't the first primitive really authentication? Well, you'll be surprised. The way APIs went through is more like this owner of the resource want to access this application, this resource. And so it basically wants to make sure that the application it is using is authorized to access the resources. Now, authentication, Ingy, are you kidding me? Authentication. Yeah. Authentication is a primitive in this flow, in these types of flows. It's a primitive that's more irrelevant or is protecting the client application from making bad decisions. So imagine, see the flip. So, hold on. So, bear with me. So the resource itself requires an authorization in order to make sure that so that it can give you the data. Requires the client app to be authorized. Okay? Now, the client app requires to get some guarantees that the user is authenticated, or basically, which means that the user is who he or she is claiming to be. So see the different audience? Can you see here? So, since the flow of the APIs were mostly focused on the idea of protecting the resource, it immediately went into, let's go and figure out how to do authorization. Now, does that mean that we're not doing any authentication for the authorization to work? No, we are. you'll find layers embedded in, but the primitive that you're trying to achieve is authorization for the resource. Okay, so accessing the resource securely, authorization. The idea here is give the client application this, access to the resource on behalf of the resource owner. By the way, that's called delegation. So we're trying to delegate access. The resource owner is saying, hey, protected resource, trust this thing. He or she can be as trusted as I am. Like that. Okay, the authorization dilemma. Let's go through some bad ideas here. Okay. So the first bad idea. The nice resource owner says, well, okay, client app, I want to access my grades at OSU. Here's my credentials. Here's my OSU credentials, client app. And so the nice student authenticates in mystudent.com and give them their credentials for OSU, and then goes into hackmycredentialsstudent.com and give them the credentials, and then go to the third one and also give credentials. Now, what happens here is that the credentials that are governing this is basically, see how the probability is growing here of the damage? It's spread. So, the idea here is, if this nice, not so nice guy took the secrets in one of these, this guy is, yeah, I'll make it a guy because he's going to be cooked, so it's not going to work. Sorry, guys. So, that's the first bad idea. Okay, so, impersonation and credential theft risk. Why are you saying impersonation now, Ingy? Isn't this authentication stuff? Let's push this a little bit. But, credential theft risk. Okay, so, let's see. Spot the wolf, spot the wolf. So, what's your problem, Wolf? Is saying, you're complicating things. Why are you authenticating the user? Why? You're in this whole dilemma because you're trying to authenticate the user. Don't authenticate the user. Just authenticate the client. Don't authorize the user. Just authorize the client application, basically. You might think, okay, what does that mean? Well, from the point of view of the wolf, why not tell the resources, the protected resources, that yes, client ID, XYZ, with credentials, whatever. I'm hopeful that we're using credentials. If the IP and you want to get a heart attack, right? So if it is, we're securing it with these, and we are saying, yes, client app is authorized to access the protected resources. Here's the premise. This wolf here is saying, yeah, just use the ID of the client app. I come in and say, so Ingy is the same as Mary when I'm going in and accessing my grades. Say, no, don't worry. The client app is going to manage, so the client app is going to authorize itself as a client app and ask for whatever data you want. Awesome, right? So, nice try, Wolf. Or dog, it's still a dog. So, spoiler alert, he's not happy. He's not starting not to be happy with me, and I'm not happy with him either. So let's see how this is going to go. So, this is the very bad idea that the wolf said may work. So the idea here is that, look, the key is pink, here is different. This key here, these credentials, belong to the resource owner, not used. What are you using? We're using these for the client app. Awesome. And then so this nice guy up there, if they took this lovely pink key, what's going to happen? Well, it's something like this, It's really total breach of unlimited users in case of client app credential theft. Literally anyone, the data of any person can be definitely gone. Well, you have to do everything. So no. That's very bad idea. Very, very bad. Okay. Authorization. authorization done right, what is that? If there is a concept like that, I mean, there's always flaws in everything, right? But, okay. So, authorization done right is, instead of credentials, instead of stuff that's relying on one, the resource owner, or the other, the client app, we're going to generate a token. A token is short-lived. A token is not related to credentials anyway, so you cannot use it to the right credential or anything like that. The token is a derivative of whatever is the resource owner interaction and the client interaction. Okay. So, an important thing too, the token has limited access rights based on the authorization rules in place. Okay, so let's see, is this doable? Well, OAuth 2, the good. Let's see, why is it good? Well, for anything, there's basically the good, but we're gonna see also other stuff, but for the OAuth 2, what is the good thing about it? OAuth 2 is basically a network-based delegation protocol, and it allows the generation of tokens securely, distribution and use of these in a secure way that crosses trust boundaries. So you will see how these tokens are used to access the protected resources, moving from one trust boundary to the other, in order to access the resources securely. So, the nice thing about OAuth, it's not user impersonation here. So, previously we had this weird sticky situation. The client app is using the credentials of the user to literally act as if it is the user, right? So there's this impersonation kind of thing to be authorized in the same way. So, OAuth allows, OAuth doesn't do that. Instead, what it does, it allows the resource owner to delegate access to delegate part of its authority to the client app so that it can access the protected resource. OAuth brings in this choice of the user, of the resource owner, by giving the user the ability to say, of course not in all the patterns, by giving the ability for the user to say, yes, I'm okay with this access. No, I'm not okay with this access. So there's this user-driven kind of security that makes it more realistic as you're accessing the protected resource. Also, OAuth has been designed in a way that is modular. It has different, like 4 patterns exactly, and it's being extended such that you can actually extend it with different stuff. You can actually apply based on the cases that you have, which pattern suits you better. Okay, so it sounds good. I don't know how to work that work though. OAuth 2 players and the dance. So, really, this is how it goes. There is a resource owner, the client app, protected resource, just like we know. But there's a new player in place. It's called the authorization server. The authorization server typically has those 2 endpoints. Basic idea here is we have those 2 endpoints. One of them is called the authorization endpoint. The other one is called the token endpoint. Okay, that's good. Why do we need that? How is it going to be different? You need it because what was missing in the previous pictures was someone to act as a delegate, kind of, for the protected resource. The protected resource previously was basically, just waiting for you to give it the credential of stuff. But no, this guy here is going to interrogate, is going to interact in certain interaction. Similar, you can think of it as a proof. I don't know if you're familiar with this, a proof systems kind of, but it's basically an interaction through an active interaction where you get this guarantee or high confidence that yes, indeed, this is allowed, this is authorized by the user to access the resource. So there's basically two endpoints in the authorization server. The authorization endpoint, there's a token endpoint. The authorization endpoint is where this guy goes to interact and try to, to prove that he is actually the person. So remember when we said the authorization has some authentication happening in place? But we're going to see why it's not authentication, though. So that's very important. And then there's the client app interacting with the authorization server in the token endpoint. Again, there are different patterns. So there's lots of stuff happening in this oval, lots of talking, big stories. It's literally the dance. It's always called the OWASP dance. And there are four main patterns for accessing the token, and there is specs that show how you can use it. It's called bidder flows. But here, that's the basic idea. There's this dance kind of thing. Okay. OWASP, two players in dance. That's the reality. The previous one is the prophecy. This is the reality. See, as you can see here, the first dancer is down flat on her face on the floor, and this guy is, it seems, I don't know, he's running towards her to help her, but it's not simple. It is not simple. Lots of things can go wrong in the process. Now, not only that, the specs, when you read the specs, the raw specs, tons are left optionals. Like to the extent that you feel like you want to just tear your hair apart. Tons are left options. It is confusing. We have to admit that it is confusing. Developers that are looking at this are just confused. They have lots of options and they're not sure what is recommended. Just tell me what's recommended. So, you'll find stuff like even the encryptions, like how stuff, the job, the token, even how it should look like, all this stuff are like that. So, yeah, in my book, that's bad and ugly. It leads to mistakes, horrible ones, in implementations. So, the scoop on that is that really this is like, it can be a general statement in most of the stuff that have standards, but specifically OWASP because it's also published. So it's kind of like we know with confidence that this is a fact. So when you're implementing this, even if we assume that this is done correctly, so even if we assume that you try to go exactly with the specs, there is one of the attacks, it's called Open Redirector. And the specs actually kind of lead you to implement it that way. Not intent, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it up front, but it can go. What was that?
Technical issues for a moment. Sorry.
What happened?
Looks like Windows 10 happened.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's horrible, because when it happens, nothing happens. So, anyway, this beautiful document about the threats against OWASP, the threat model that's been used, and you will see some stuff. And also one important thing again, I think I'm obsessed with TLS, but then it's not meant to be used outside of this CPS, by the way. There's secrets passing everywhere, so just again, don't try it. Don't try HTTP with anything, just HTTPS, everything. Okay. So, spot the wolf. Yeah. So, this wolf is growing more wolfy, as you can see. Why do we need to do this? Let's modify the pattern a bit. Simplify things, and all will be good, just trust me. Good game, but no. Because you know what? I've written a security product that specifically zero knowledge proofs, and usually I would write, here are the security assumptions that I have. And then I build a model, I make assumptions in the attacker, and then I prove it secure. Okay? So that's basically the steps you go through. Okay, good. Now, if in I never thought that really, when these things are implemented, what happens is that people goes like, why did I make this assumption? That's not very important. No sense. Or like you start seeing the model stuff flying away. The assumptions go away, and so security goes away. So no, you cannot simplify it. No, you need to implement it as is, and you just need to basically implement it as much as you can, right? Usually, the attacks are not easy. So the idea here is this: if this model is out there and trusted, it does not trust it because. So we're going to laugh and say, haha, it's insecure. No, our insecure is different than when we are writing this and documenting it. They have high standards for what they call, very, very high standards for what they call secure. The hacks, not always, but the hacks are not really easy. If it is easy, usually it will be updated really fast and alerts, you get alerts in the time and stuff like that. So don't do that, right? Now, accessing resources security, authentication. So we set the authorization, we said we're going to do OAuth, and yeah, we said, Ingy, you just told us it's not secure. No, it is secure. It's just that do not ever assume something is 100% secure, and so do your best in implementing it. Do not assume that I can throw these assumptions and still I can survive. You will not survive. Okay? So, by the way, the thing is sometimes we think like, but it's so complicated. Who's the hacker that's going to be like able to go and monitor it? Well, remember, this whole complicated thing that's on the wires is just an HTTP request. It's simple. Simple. And those apps, again, nothing is secrets in them. Okay, so the other thing is accessing resources securely, authentication. So, the authentication goal, different than the authorization, with the different audience. It is saying, we want to tell the application, see, the audience is different here. The previous one, we wanted to allow the user, or basically, if you're going to say it with the tell word, it will be tell the protected resource that the user, this app is authorized to access it. Here, to tell the application who the current user is and if they are who they claim to be. You might say, Ingy, why do I need that? Well, I think the wolf is going to say it. So, yes, see, it's growing more. The wolf is getting more and more. So basically what was saying, but didn't I get the token? And the token was through OAuth, and I've already authenticated to get this thing, right? And or you're just obsessed with dances. We're not obsessed with dances, but the problem is that's not a good idea. So why we're not a good idea? So let's look at authentication rules. Those shall know. Okay? So the first thing here is, when you're getting an OAuth access token, and that's what the token is called, and OAuth flows, you call it access token. When you're getting that, it doesn't tell you anything about it. Well, but I got it after, why the app got it? After the user authenticated in order to authorize the app, right? Well, I don't care how you got it. I care does it convey when I check it. Does it tell me anything about the authentication event? Does it tell me anything about when the user was authenticated or who? Okay, if this was hijacked and then replaced and injected in different parts, will I never know who was and is now? It's not called authentication. Do not use OAuth for authentication, ever. Okay, so an authentication layer is definitely then needed. Okay, so we agree that we really need an authentication layer. what are you saying? So you're going to use the same, so you're going to use OAuth, authorization, which you build authorization, is using authentication, and you build the authentication layer on top. Yes, yes. The audience is totally different. The audience is totally different. Here, authentication is looking at the client app. The authorization is looking at the protected users. Okay? So it's an audience thing. Okay? And there's many other stuff. What do you mean many other stuff? The optionals that we talked about. Basically, OAuth is kind of an empty skeleton, not empty skeleton. It's very nice, very well written, but it's just, and that lacks lots of stuff that are left for people to extend. So it's not bad in any way, but it has its uses. We have to keep this in perspective. OpenID Connect, let's authenticate, let's celebrate. So OpenID Connect exists. So, yes, you really need to kind of just let it sit in that we have the blessing that the authentication standard exists. And you don't need to go build it because it's hard and because we're going to make mistakes. So, so it's compatible with OAuth. They dance together nicely. There's some, if you read the specs for OpenID Connect, there's some changes. You'll find there's some concept of a relying party, and there's some concept of identity provider. But the mapping is really easy. The relying party is basically a client app, because in authentication, a relying party is one that is relying on the authentication process to identify the user. If you try to map it otherwise, it will fail. The trust boundaries will not apply. Trust boundaries are really everything, because you're trying to connect protocols and stuff and build on top of things. Identity provider is, of course, the one that has the identity information for the user and the different identity profiles. OpenID Connect uses JOTs. And the good thing about it is, so first of all, OpenID Connect, it makes, so first let's back up a little bit. We said the authorization was using an authentication event. So the user authenticates at the authorization endpoint, provides the credentials, and tell the authorization server, yes, I can now authorize this app. This is me, and I'm saying yes. That's what's happening. So there's authentication to do the authorization delegation. Okay, so WAF is not authorization protocol, really, if I'm going to be accurate, delegation protocol. So basically, this thing here is saying, aha, I need just basically to take the information from this event. Oh, which one? Yeah, the authentication that happened to do the authorization delegation. I mean, what? No. Take it and document it. Register it. So register the expiry date, when it happened, the username, attributes about the user that are, again, I keep on always saying, put in the ID token only what you need to do to put in there. Not like, just throw things inside. Okay. So I have my ID token. It has, you will see fields like auth, issuer, sub, nonce, state. Oh, so the specs is helping me also to mitigate some of the vulnerabilities, stuff like cross forgery and nonce for replay attacks. So it's kind of more in-depth, kind of more detailed. And in the ID token, you have these stuff that you can validate. It is signed. It is signed. So that you can validate the signature and make sure, oh, yes, it's coming from the correct place. I can trust this identity. So, OpenID Connect kind of cheated, actually. They just took a certain event that is happening as part of a WAF, enlarging it, putting whatever necessary authentication context to it, and just shipping it out. Okay? So, other stuff, it has details in regards to deployment. something called dynamic discovery and things like that. It adds more. Yes, 10 minutes, okay. OpenID Connect working group provided lots of guidance, which is nice. And there is very nice advanced features, the builds, there's not a lot, stuff around session management, and very nice stuff that you can, as a developer, get some flexibility with. So, Spot the Wolf is not happy at all. I'll build my own authentication. Little Red Riding Hood, just watch me. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. That is not a good idea. Don't do it. Too much complexity, too much possibilities of mistakes equals insecure. Simple equals more secure. Using stuff that exists, that's been vetted, that's been looked at with tons of eyes is more secure. Okay? Awesome. So, phew, nearly done. Concluding statements, but that's not a good idea. Because I've just only actually scratched the surface of authentication authorization. I don't want to leave you like this. So let's zoom through the rest a little bit. Fine-grained authorization. Fine-grained authorization. So what is that? Fine-grained authorization is basically rules that says if you are married, you should see grades this and this and that, but not this and this and that. You should not see the stuff that is still being graded. Now, notice the model is changing. APIs are very granular. Resources are by the URI, super granular access. You have to make your rules granular. Now, go away, shall access all kind of thing. This has to disappear altogether. Now, what do we use? I don't even like RBAC anymore. There is what's called ABAC system, attribute-based access control. And ABAC systems are just as granular as you'd like, where you will be able to create rules based on the attributes of the user. Okay? Remember, this is so granular and fine-grained because we are authorizing users and not systems. Just keep this in mind, and everything will flow in place. If you're still thinking of authorizing systems, like older systems, you're just going to be like, I don't get it. Why? Okay. No unmanaged APIs. Conclusion, get yourself an API gateway. It's more complicated and more effort to try in all the APIs that you're developing to manage something like rate limiting, to manage something like general policies of blah, 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 management of XML bombs and the fun stuff. It's so hard also to see what you have and offer people to consume from what you have. You need this capability. So an API gateway is important. Live your OWASP promise. Yeah, indeed. All OWASP stuff still apply. Well, check out this document and you'll be surprised. Nothing, and the good thing is that you know the name of the game. It's really clear. You just need to know that it exists. The whole problem is when you're making assumption that things do not exist in this ecosystem anymore. It still exists. So, live your OWASP promise. Check out this document link here. Line up your players, get your act together. APIs need this solid lining up of knowing what you have, like the identity provider, gateway, transition server, track your endpoints, authenticate, authorize, things are ready, get your developer portal set up, use community sourced accelerators, please, as much as you can. As much as you can, use community backed stuff. TLS is an answer, TLS. Authorization is not equal to authentication, just don't try it again, okay? Authentication will equal authorization, OAuth is not authentication, okay? Audit, monitor, analyze. Always keep an eye out on trends, test. There are tools for testing APIs. Do not oversee those. It's easy. Most of the security scanning tools, by the way, now are offering it. You just need to know how. Like based on the tool that you're using, literally most of them are doing API testing. It does this usually quite fuzzy. OWASP zap as well as awesome. So API really, API security rocks, right? Let's dance with the wolves, I guess. But just the idea here is that the wolves are really the actions and the perceptions that we have. I really don't see the world as everyone is coming after me kind of thing. I believe that it is the way I intercept that defines how these things coming after me are going to be able to succeed and fail. So it doesn't matter who's after me, it matters what I'm doing. And that's where the wolves are really the actions that makes others able to attack. Thank you so much.